Okay. All right. Let's see how this is working out. Hey, everyone. Okay. So, pretty much just a working session today, because as many of you know, um, if if you've been following my streams, I'm getting married next week. So, this has been just kind of a crazy time for me. Um, I uh, have been building systems to automatically water my animals while I'm gone, and plants with misting systems and stuff. It's actually pretty cool. Like, I was just frantically scrambling because I have to do the cutting of the aluminum for this before uh, people go to bed, and it's late because I don't live in a house. I live in an apartment. So basically, though, this is my idea. So I had to install these like misting systems in my cages, and this is not related to the theory of everything, but I mean, not directly, but whatever. This is just kind of showing building, which is important for people to see, I think. So I bought these like metal aluminum uh, beams. I have tons of them. I've had them for years. I use them for all kinds of things. And I made these little brackets. I have to clean them up, but they're like little L shapes, and I can't mount these misting systems directly to the top of the tank because of the lighting setup that I use. So I'm putting the tube for the misting system into the tank via a hole, and then I'm mounting these on the bottom, on the side with these, and I have to be very careful here because these are super, super, super strong neodymium magnets, and I'm going to basically mount one of them. There's tons of them here, but they're so strong, guys. These are the strongest magnets I've ever felt in my life. I'm scared to get them close to my computer, but basically, one will mount on the outside here, and then the other one will go on the outside of the tank, and it will basically hold through the glass this little L bracket that then will attach to let's not get the neodymium magnets near my computer. If everything just dies, you'll know it's because I got the magnets too close. But I don't even know how you would recover from that. You probably wouldn't. But basically, these mount like this onto the side of the enclosure. Magnet on one side, and then magnet on the other side. So they'll mount like that. And then I can take them off, reuse them, and I don't have to put any permanent holes in my enclosures, which I almost thought I would have to do, which that would suck. But anyways, I'll deal with this later. But I had to cut like 10 of these, and right before this stream, so sorry for being a bit late, but you have to let the silicone cure for a couple days before you put it in with the animals, and I'm leaving for my wedding very soon, so I have to make sure everything is like settled before I leave. As I said last week, it is a mad dash. It's insane. But hit the like button if you are watching this, if you are subscribed to the channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Comment down below any thoughts you have on any of these streams, or just comment because it helps with the algorithm when we're trying to beat YouTube's signal. Next week, especially, I will say this: if you have not subscribed to my email list on sentientsingularity.com yet, on the bottom of the homepage, I highly suggest that you do, because next week, no, the week after, I'm gone all next week, but the week after, I will be back full force talking about some of the things that I've been waiting to talk about. Paulina will be on here as well, my fiance, who will be my wife at the time. That will be exciting. You guys get to meet her. But I've been holding off on that until after the wedding because I think that that's more normal. People, I think that it's just a good precedent to set that you wait until like after the wedding before you unveil your spouse to the world, essentially, like officially, because it's just not good for people I've seen to, not that I expect to, break up. We're not breaking up. I'm getting married next week. But a lot of people do break up, and it doesn't need to be public before the wedding. So I'm trying to set a precedent, even though I'm not personally concerned. But, we're going to be talking about marriage, how marriage is the core fundamental of thing to understand as far as the theory of everything goes. We're going to talk about morals as far as theory of everything goes, and some of the aspects of those morals that I have been waiting until after marriage to start talking about. And they're, more controversial topics these days. So we're probably going to get shut down from YouTube quick eventually. I'm hoping to get this channel's viewership up a bit more, and subscriber list up a bit more before YouTube takes us offline, but you never know these days. They'll take you off if you have 1 million or 2 million or 3 million subscribers, and they will take you off if you have 1 subscriber. So sign up for my email list if you want to continue to watch the work, and we have to jump to another platform. But I think we'll be okay for a little while, but it's definitely, I'll probably never be able to monetize this channel. Just probably once I start talking about morals, it's just going to get too controversial, which is unfortunate because morals are something that we don't understand at all these days, but everybody is on a quest to understand. Like, if you think about politics these days right now, you're like, why is everybody so politically insane? And so obsessive over, are you racist or sexist or whatever, it's because we are hyper focused right now on searching for morality, because we subconsciously know that we cannot operate without it. We can't. You literally can't. You will become a hamster on a wheel till the day you die. And I mean that from knowing that from experience. You will default to chasing things that are not goodness, but that are, means to ends, not ends in it of themselves, like pleasure, like money, like fame, like likes, like follows, like all these other things that are they're either useful metrics or they're vanity metrics. And they can be useful, but they can also be vanity. If you're chasing them, it's vanity. If you're not, it's just useful. But we need an objective morality and an objective philosophy of morals. So other than if you are a deeply religious person, I suggest that you default to scripture, because scripture is scripture, and I acknowledge the legitimacy of scripture. So we're not going to talk about scripture as much on this channel, because this channel is about first principles thinking for the most part, but we do reference scripture sometimes, but I don't try and use scripture on this channel to find answers. I personally do use scripture sometimes to find answers when I can't achieve them through first principles reasoning, but I will say when I try and do it through first principles reasoning, and I do it really meticulously and well, and with rigor, and clear-headedness, I almost always arrive at the same uh, morals as traditional religion through just first principles. That's very hard for people to realize these days, because the scientific world, for the most part, unless you're a more controversial person in the sciences, you are usually not focused on morals purposely, and whenever you do, it's not the position that most likely we're going to take on this channel. Other than, you should, love your neighbor as yourself, which is everybody says that they agree with that, but actually, we're going to talk about what that really means. Please give us a sneak peek on upcoming controversial topics surrounding morals. I'm going to talk about marriage. I'm going to talk about responsibilities, whether in gender dynamics and gender relationships for the most part. I'm going to talk about politics and what is the considerations involving a voting system and democracy, as well as, authoritarian structures as well, hierarchies, authoritarian hierarchies, I'll say. I'm going to talk about race. I've touched on all these topics, but we're going to dive deep once I'm done getting married, because there's lots of reasons for it. But one, I can have Paulina on here to discuss things from a female perspective, and because I can't really, for the most part. Probably better than most, but just because I've given it so much thought, and really objective thought, which has reversed my opinions on so many things. But also just because, the theory of everything allows you to make predictions across fields and from different perspectives when you understand it very well, because it is a pattern that is, consistent and observable and predictable in every instance of objective observation. So when you're predicting an observation from a different perspective, you can use the theory of everything to make predictions about it, even if you're not female. But even then, it's so important to rely on firsthand experience that it's essential to bring in somebody who is female to talk about some of those things. But like I said, I'm not going to bring on Paulina until we're married, and then she can come on whenever she wants. She'll probably be on every now and then, though, to speak with us about things. I'm going to talk about sex in just ways that it's not discussed these days. It's either discussed purposely in a desexualizing way, or it is discussed in a hyper, sexualized, I guess, lewd. I don't know if that's even the right word, but just immoral way, I guess you could say. And we all, done, discussed it in ways that is not the way that it should be discussed. But I think that marriage gives a lot of perspective on the topic, and that's my prediction, at least. I'm not married, but I want to be able to speak about sex much more with a first-hand perspective in the situation of marriage. And I'm not yet married, so I can't really speak about it like that yet. And I want to be able to speak about it in an authoritative way, which means from a first-hand perspective, from a experiential perspective, from a wise perspective. I don't yet have that. I've made predictions, and I'm pretty much sure they're going to be true, but there's also going to be insights that I can't predict, regarding that. So I want to be, you know, want to know what I'm talking about. And so that's going to be some of the things we're going to talk about. We're going to be talking about dress, like what is the right way to dress, even, and how to handle social media, how to handle, you know, politics, all kinds of things. But like I said, I've been purposely waiting till after marriage for a number of reasons. You know, humans are not. People say that an individuated unit of the human species is the individual, and this right here, it's a coin. And if an individual is an individuated unit, then and to the, like an individuated unit of the human species, it is an individuated unit of an organism. But is it really the individuated unit of a human species? No. And to say that it would be to say that only heads of a coin is an individuated unit in money, but it's not, because you need heads and you need tails, and they're two sides of one coin. This is how this is men and women. This is male and female in a sexually reproductive species. And so, and particularly humans, because of the amount of emotional and resource and time investment that offspring take to raise, it really does take a pair. Plus, the difference, humans' blank slateness, I guess you could say. So our ability to be so good at so many things, build all this technology and stuff like that, comes from the fact that we're kind of a blank slate when we're born. We're not able to fend for ourselves. I have an Amazon tree boa over there. She's about to have her first litter any day now. I'm praying for some healthy babies. It's like my dream snake, like project, and they're going to be amazing. I'll show them on the stream when they're born, but if they're healthy. But I've been wanting to have this pairing take place for like 15 years. And she's due any day now. Her babies will be able to fend for themselves from day one. And they will have all their basic instincts from day one. So do humans, but we don't even have the physical ability to express those basic instincts from day one, other than, you know, sexual instincts, which we don't really have as, you know, children, prepubescent children, and neither do prepubescent snakes. Snakes go through puberty as well. But other than sexual instincts, all instincts are pretty much there from the time that you're born. And it's just humans aren't able to express them physically like a snake is, you know, from day one, or a puppy is from a few weeks. Humans aren't even able to walk for months. I mean, months and months, actually. Like, probably close to 1 year old, I would imagine. Sometimes past 1 year old, I think. I'm not really sure yet. But, yeah. I mean, this is going to be a journey for me and everybody watching, because, you know, inshallah, which it's God willing, you know, I'll have children in the next couple of years. And, like, that's going to bring a whole nother set of wisdom that I can bring to this, to these talks, that I just can't bring right now. Like, not from firsthand experience. And I grew up in a big family with lots of younger siblings, but it's not the same at all. And I'm sure that there's going to be so much to share. So there's so much coming, but it does take time. I'm going to share more than, like, most people about marriage. You know, nothing that would violate, you know, the privacy of marriage, which is supposed to be private, involving lots of things at least. But I think that our society has basically made it so that the incentives are that you share nothing other than, like, this very, very, like, or you share this very, very, like, cleaned up or extremely overdramatic like image, and I don't think it's good for us to see an over dramatization of something, because it makes it seem out of touch. And also, I don't think it's good for us to see, a distilled, filtered version of reality, of life, of the human experience. And we do this with everything. Even including our jobs. We share our successes and not our failures. We share our eases and not our hardships, until we share our hardships in an over dramatized way, and that's not good either. So, lots to come. I mean, so many controversial moral topics. Sexuality is coming again. I have talked about it a bit. I have a theory on sexuality that nobody has ever said out other than me, ever. So, and a framework for sexuality that is unlike anything you've ever heard, unless you've heard it on this channel, because we apply the pattern of the theory of everything to all these, to gender, to sexuality, to race, to everything, and it'll boil it down into the binary and explain why we would see triality where we do, and cause us to realize how the importance of perspective when looking at these various topics, and how just a change in perspective can change everything, absolutely everything. And I mean, you can reduce the endless list of sexualities, literally endless list, to two, and it's not straight and gay. That is incorrect, but you can reduce it to two, and that encapsulates and encompasses everyone on Earth, and links it to responsibility and meaning and all these things that we're currently seeking unconsciously, but are avoiding consciously. We are consciously avoiding responsibility, but we are unconsciously seeking meaning. And you can't have meaning separate from responsibility. So basically, everything that we are linking our meaning to, relativistic ideas of race, relativistic ideas of sexuality, relativistic ideas of civil and familial responsibility, must be linked to objective responsibilities, but first must be categorized objectively so that they can be linked to responsibilities that are real and true and eternal, essentially, and objective, but so that you can then understand meaning and get meaning from those responsibilities. If you avoid responsibilities, no wonder you will if you're feeling lack of meaning, it's because you're avoiding responsibilities. Like, that is a fact. And that's true of everybody, myself included, your siblings included, my siblings included, your family and friends and enemies included. Everyone who is ever feeling a lack of meaning is due to them not, pursuing something, taking responsibility for something objective. So, looking forward to getting deeper into some of these topics. Me too. I have been waiting a long time, and my dog's barking. Sorry, but I know I've teased them quite a bit and discussed some of these, especially on our Discord discussions, which I highly recommend you join. Message me privately on Instagram, and I'll send you the link every Thursday at 7 p.m. I'll be in there again this Thursday. I'll be back here tomorrow, 7:30. Hopefully not late like today. But like I said, I will be gone all next week, but the week after, I will be back full force, and our wedding will be much, it will be over, so it will be much calmer. But and one thing that we are doing that is so important is we are going to have no debt from this wedding. That's like, if you're going to set, people don't know how to set any limits on themselves, I've realized, and including myself, like we all struggle with this, but financial limits are really tough to set. Like, it's interesting because you think about your financial limit and you're like, well, as long as I can pay all my bills, like it's fine. And I don't know how true that is really. Like, there are some things that require sometimes some debt. If you have an emergency, that's debt that you can use, or responsibly, I would say. If you, a true emergency, like a medical emergency, especially. And in today's climate, I want to say a house, but the thing is, or property, but the thing is like, I think we also need to move to a model where we don't buy property and houses with debt, and we just buy it in lump sum, and then you add to your house over time. But technology needs to catch up, and then law needs to catch up with that, and the laws of surrounding that housing and the technology surrounding housing, which is changing quickly with 3D printing and such, is such that it almost makes it impossible to buy land or a house without going into debt, unless you're going to buy literally like nothing. I mean, some people can do it, but the average person cannot. And that's what matters. I applaud people that can, but most people can't. I can't right now. But I do hope to, or plan to, I guess you could say. I don't know how, but you got to F the how for now, with big things like that. But with things like a wedding, like the limit to everything that you do, buying engagement rings, getting a photographer, booking a venue, getting food, is set by your ability to pay for it without debt. And I mean, you can be, it's one thing to owe your parents like some money. Or your sibling or something, like your grandpa, I don't know. You're in the family, but it's another thing to owe credit card companies or the government even. Another thing that definitely should happen is you should not be paying any education with debt. I'm telling you this as somebody who has tens of thousands of dollars of debt and who is about to inherit hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. Okay. Do not pay for education with debt. If you like, education is something that you do for yourself on anything, and you can do it for free. And anything that you really need that would be that important, you go and you pay for it without debt. I mean, unless you need to become a doctor or a lawyer. And other than that, no. Like and that's only because of the stupid system. But if you don't need to be a doctor or a lawyer, do not pay for education with debt. It's not worth it. And hopefully our laws catch up and it becomes cheaper to become a doctor. Otherwise, we're going to start seeing a shortage because doctors are making way less money than they used to. I know that from family. And the education is way more than it ever was. And they come away just dumb. Like, Brett Weinstein was talking about this. He was like, doctors used to be like scientists. Like, they used to have like engineering scientific mindset. And now nobody in the sciences has a scientific mindset. Only engineers do for the most part. And doctors don't at all. And I can tell you that also from knowing lots of doctors. They don't know shit, guys. I'm serious. They don't know it. They know so little. Like, I'm not saying they know nothing, because I have doctors in my family that are great doctors and I would trust them with their specific field, but that's due to experience. But they don't come away like knowing what drugs are good because of a degree intrinsically, like at all. I've had doctors that prescribe not even prescribe, but tell me to take medication that wasn't even prescription medication before for like heartburn, and they were like, yeah, it's so safe. And then like 2 months later, it was like came out that it was not safe, and the whole thing was recalled. And he was like, yeah, did you stop taking that? I was like, yes, I did. I saw the news articles. And he was like, yeah, it's not safe. I was like, yeah, so you didn't know really at all. And I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying, don't trust the system entirely, because you can't. But uh yeah, don't pay for weddings with debt. I did get my wedding band. I'm gonna show it off. It's pretty cool. Paulina and I had these made um uh hers and mine. I'll show you. Here it is. Here we go. Cool. But I did this all without debt, by the way. And I don't make tons of money. Just saved. Not going to say how much they were, but they were within reason. They looked more expensive than they were, probably. But they are cool, so I'm going to share them. Diamonds blow my mind. Like, they really do blow my mind. I I've been thinking about just metals and diamonds and gems lately, just because of this whole process. And I actually used to like make jewelry and sell it when I was like a kid, and it was pretty good actually. Like, I'll show you some. So 1 minute. Here. Okay. Make sure we're still online, because you never know with YouTube. So I made these for Paulina. This one is amber and amethyst, just like gold-plated beads. Just a bracelet. And I made this, which is actually pretty cool. This was the first gift I ever gave Paulina. This is a necklace, and the whole thing is. Let me just make sure you guys can see. Is like bent wire. Like every single like joint in the chain is bent. Just copper wire. And then I put a bead on it. So you can see there's like joints. There we go. Trying to make it focus. Yeah, I guess they're kind of. You guys get the idea. It's funny though, I made this. It has like a Christmas tree and a heart and a Hamsa and with a Star of David in the center and then a cross. And I showed this to my coworker this was like 6 years ago, guys. It was like 5.5 years ago, more than 5.5 years ago. Um, and my coworker's like, "What is this? Coexist?" It's very fun. But uh, the beads are lapis, is the stone. It's like this blue stone. It's beautiful. And I made like earrings for the next gift. So if you can develop these skills, it's so much more meaningful than anything you could buy. I will say that. Like she wears this stuff all the time. It's been 6 years. Um, uh, we're getting married on the day that we met, the anniversary of the day that we first met. Six year anniversary of the day we first met. So, like, it's been a while, too long, way too long. Yeah, that is my ring. It's like hammered finish, so it looks like rustic. And it's just 14 karat gold, which is like, I recommend that. It doesn't scratch as easily as like 18 or something like that. And it's way cheaper. It's like half the price, and it looks just as good almost. But here, these are what we made. Okay, there we go. Cool. So here is, let me make sure that it's actually showing what I want. This right here on the, I don't know if it's your left or right, whatever, but the white background, this is what we had designed, basically. I mean, she made this in Photoshop, which is pretty awesome. And then this was the result, which is like almost exactly the same. And did we just go down? Hope not. No, we're still good. But yeah, guys, you can do everything without debt. Like this does not take like that much money. It just takes some planning. It's not like this is tens of thousands of dollars at all. But and there's even cheaper ways to do things. But just go without debt. That's your limit. Like of everything other than maybe becoming a doctor right now, and maybe getting a house and land, and that's it. Like, do not even get a car with debt. I'm telling you, don't do it. You can get a car for like $2,500. That's like decent. You can get a car that's like 5 or 6,000 with that's really good. And I mean, a $6,000 car is not cheap, but you can save up for a year for a $6,000 car. I could do that at least. It's still a lot, it'd be, if I bought that, it would be the most expensive purchase I'd ever made, in a single buy. $6,000. I've never bought anything that was $6,000, but but people will buy cars that are like 15,000, and you've got a loan for a while, and even if you could pay for it easily, monthly payments, it's just not worth it. Like, you're not getting, I don't know. Like, you got to pick and choose your battles. I mean, if you are somebody who you are a car guy and you could afford your favorite car in the world pretty easily on a monthly payment, maybe. But like, if you're not a car guy and it's not your favorite car ever, you should buy your car in a lump sum. And your limit is how much you can spend in a lump sum. Same thing with rings and jewelry, obviously. Anything like that. Do not go into debt for an engagement ring. It's just crazy. But where is this? I guess that final photo didn't send. But yeah, they look awesome. I'm like super stoked about it. I just find jewelry fascinating. It's like one of the first pieces of art that humans created. And I think a lot of technology developed around jewelry because we could eat without technology. We were eating just fine without technology. We were resisting the elements just fine without technology. It's art that I think pushes technology forward a lot more than we think, and or like, I guess you could say, not even art, but it's necessity and also entertainment and enjoyment, and this would fall into the latter. I don't think that we didn't need tech to eat. If we needed to blow up an asteroid, we would, that's a necessity that I'm talking about. But if you don't need tech to eat. We were eating just fine. War will also push technology forward because that is like, it's a momentary necessity because you got to beat the other guy. So cool though. Like I said, totally doable without debt. This stuff was not thousands of dollars. It may look it, but it wasn't. I mean, if you go to, Tiffany's or something like that, and you get diamonds all around, or I don't know, whatever they do, yeah, you're gonna spend so much money, but you don't have to do that. That's just ridiculous. It's better to build something that you chose. Then it's much more meaningful versus oh, it's Tiffany's or something like that. It's no. I am opposed to that kind of buying of things. And I did buy once a Tiffany necklace, but it was $120 necklace. It wasn't it was years ago, and it wasn't even for Paulina. And there you go. It's I made this one and I'm marrying that girl. I bought the $120 Tiffany necklace. I'm not married. So it just shows how meaningless vanity metrics are. And a vanity metric is also brand. Brand is a vanity metric. There are some brands that are better than other brands. Not saying Tiffany's is bad quality. It's very good quality, but it's and a Ferrari is a very nice car, but it's still, you should get it because you love it, or you like it a lot. You don't love it. You love sentient beings, not love. You don't love things. I'm trying to avoid saying I love things. You like things a lot, but if you have a passion for a specific item, I don't know. You are I shoot, okay, and I am a martial artist. I spent money on my rifle. It's an LWRC rifle. It's an expensive rifle. But that's I still bought it without debt. And it is a topic that I really, really like. I like cars, but I'm not a car guy. If I was a car guy, then I would care more about the car that I have, but I'm not a car guy. I just know a decent amount about cars, and I do like some cars, but I'm not it's not a part of my life. It's just something I know about. It's I know a lot about fighter jets too, but I'm not a fighter jet guy where I've got my own fighter jet. You gotta pick and choose what you spend money on. For me, is snakes and weapons. But for some people, it's cars. But it should be something that you truly care about. like personal anecdote, I watched my dad spend way too much money as a kid on a stereo system for like the house. Okay. And like a home theater system basically that was put in by like professionals. He spent so much money on this, guys. He's not like an audiophile or like a movie like critic, and it was such a waste. It couldn't even do the things that my phone and a Chromecast can do, and like a nice set of like one set of speakers that's nice, that's not plugged into the wall or anything. You just like plug it into the socket and it's fine. It's more than enough. Unless your passion is movies and you like the whole experience of movies, and like that is your passion. It's not just something you like. I like movies a lot too, but like it's not, I'm not a movie guy. Whereas like I live in the Hollywood area and I've lived with people, had roommates in the past. They were all in the entertainment industry. You know, they were writers and directors and cinematographers and stuff. And like, if that's your life, then I understand. But like, you have to, don't buy it to show off and keep up with the Joneses. That's all I will say, including jewelry. As beautiful as, you know, some of the stuff that I showed was, which I admit it is, but it's not keeping up with the Joneses. And it didn't cost thousands of dollars. It was much cheaper than any number that you have in your head. I guarantee it. And it wasn't cheap, but it wasn't like too much either. Okay, questions. No debt after wedding is quite amazing. Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. Like, I'm so, like, we're on the cusp, but and you know, I've spent money. We'll probably spend, for sure, it's costing me over $10,000. Oh, but it's spent over, you know, many months. You don't spend it all one lump sum, but that's pretty cheap for a wedding. I know I've had friends that spent like over $70,000 on a wedding. They all regret it. They all regret it. If they have to pay for it, they all regret it. Like, that's insane. And, you know, I couldn't afford that if I wanted to, but like, I don't think they could have either. I think they went into debt. You know, otherwise why would they be upset about it after the wedding? Like, it's always a trade-off, you know, like down payment on a house, new car, or wedding. It's like, but if the thing is though, is that if you pay for it in full, afterwards you'll be like, maybe we spent too much. Maybe we could have spent less. You'll say, but you didn't spend too much. You could have spent less. You didn't spend too much. Too much. There is a objective threshold to too much. Economics, like wise, it is debt. If you are going into debt to the system, you know, credit card companies and federal loans and stuff like that, if you're going into debt for that, and it's not a medical emergency to save your life, or I don't know, mortgage, which even then, like I said, I think we really need to move towards a model where we don't do that, and you should avoid doing that as much as you can. I know I will be trying to avoid that as much as I can. But short of a medical emergency, there is no reason to go into debt objectively ever. Like I said, you know, if you're going to become a doctor, that's a product of the times that you might have to go into debt. If you're going to become, or a lawyer or whatever, if you're going to become, to buy a house, it's a product of the times, I think, that you will have to go into debt a lot of times. You don't need to go into debt to buy a car anymore at all. And maybe the car you want, but not a nice car. You can get a decent car by not going into debt. If you made $30,000 a year and you saved up for 2 years, you could get a very decent car. So it's not like a matter of just having enough money. But the only reason to go into debt is always, and I will say this always, is if it's to save your life or to, you know, a loved one. Like, then you go into debt. You do what you have to do, and you don't worry about it. Some people are like, don't even go into debt. Like, I don't want to burden everybody with debt. It's like, do you know, like, if you do that, here's the issue with that, and I totally disagree with that. People who are like, don't put my family in debt for, my medical expenses. I'm not going to burden them with that. That is to say, to do that is to put money at a higher value than family and yourself. That is that's total BS. Like, that's not objective value. Money is a means to an end. It's not an ends. So it's to say I'm not going to go into debt for medical expenses is to put the means above the ends. And you don't do that. You put the ends above the means, and the means is a tool. So this is like objective, like personal economics. And I'm not saying I've always done this. I don't have credit card debt anymore, but I did. I got laid off years ago, and many years ago, from my first job where I had like moved away, and it was like a full-time job, and I had to use my credit card, or I did use my credit card, and I paid off the debt. I will never do that again, like, ever. It was the amount of stress that it gave me was just not worth it. There was just other ways to deal with it than that. And yeah, like, I mean, it's not good. So I'm speaking from making mistakes, but there is an objective limit. Like, the limit is debt, and credit cards, they destroy the limit. Federal loans for education destroys the value of education, because it means now you can get as much value as possible for the education, regardless of the return. There's no incentive for, the cost to be less than the return, and then therefore, the cost exceeds the return, and now it's all meaningless, and there's no limits. We have lost the ability to, like, the fact that they don't teach you this in school is just, it is criminal. It's literally criminal, almost. Like, they'll teach you in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. It's like, Columbus has nothing to do with the United States, first of all. There were already people in the Americas, and I'm not getting into a political debate. I'm just saying, like, why are we learning? Columbus didn't even set foot in America, and we're arguing over that politically. Like, whether or not we should teach that in school. I don't have a problem with you learning that in school, but to make this a debate in school, and we're not like, hey guys, why are we not teaching kids not to get into debt? Like, and what they can do without getting into debt. So much, teach them, so much. School is a great place to like model personal economics, though, too, because you can set up little classroom basic, like, mock economic systems where basically causes you to understand delayed gratification and your limits and debt and all kinds of stuff. And we don't do that at all. And we're just arguing over like Christopher Columbus, who, nothing against Christopher Columbus. Guy was a brave dude, I don't think I would have wanted to set sail into I don't know, the unknown, on a ship into the ocean ever. But like, why are we teaching that above economics? Because the system doesn't want you to learn this stuff, and I want to teach it. So no debt. Probably not a good time to buy a new beaded lizard, though. Oh, I'm waiting till after the probably after the honeymoon to buy a beaded lizard. We're not even taking our honeymoon right away, guys. That's why I'll be back the next week. We're taking like a mini moon, taking like the weekend, because we're getting married on a weekday, on a Wednesday, and we're gonna take the honeymoon to the end of the weekend, and then I'll be back for the work week, and I'll be back to streaming, and we'll take like eventually I want to take a trip to Hawaii. I've never been to Hawaii, and want to find some Jackson's chameleons in Hawaii. And we would go to Maui because that's where they are. But I want to like see the jungle, but we can't afford that right away, so we're just not going right away. It's like, this is what I mean. Don't go into debt for like a honeymoon. Just postpone it until you can pay for it in full. That's what we're doing. So later this year, whenever we can afford it, we'll go. But probably after that, then I'll get a new beaded lizard. Do you think the price of homes will crash next year or go higher? I think that it depends on where you live. But in a lot of places, they're going to continue to go up. The issue is the laws. It is going to get so incredibly cheap to build a house. But if you wanted to build a house well, but the laws will surrounding building codes and such will force you to overpay and stifle innovation, and they are stifling innovation on regarding modularity in homes and stuff like that. And I mean, there are literally lobbyists for every single issue. So if you don't think that there are lobbyists for mortgage companies arguing for stricter, building codes so that you can't build cheaper houses, I would think that's very naive. And I've never looked, but I guarantee it. Like, I don't even have to look. Like, I'm that sure of it. I've worked in the political world. I've seen it in every other issue. I know. Nice ring. Thank you, Chris. Forgo the expensive wedding. We did ours for $400 out of pocket. Honestly, Walt, I think that was brilliant. I wanted to get married in my parents' backyards with paper plates. But, Pauline and I come from the wedding industry as well, because we were both wedding photographers for years. And so we've seen every kind of wedding you can imagine. And while that helps you do some things for cheaper, it also makes like women want something that is, an image in their mind. I mean, I did talk to her though recently, and like, we had the ability to do it in my parents' backyard. If we did it over, we probably would have saved like a few $1,000s. So, I mean, I'm going cheap on the food, good food, but like cheap. It's costing me like under $1,000 to feed like, I don't know, 40 people. So, 50 people. So it's, it depends on how many people you have there. I don't think we could have, it would have been I don't want to say we could, I don't think we could have. We could have probably fed 50 people for $400. But that's really cutting it. Like, you need like family to really jump in and help. But like I said, it doesn't matter if it's $400 or $5,000. Like, or $10,000 or $100,000. If it's without debt, it's not too much. You could have always spent less, almost always. But that's not the point, because if you could say, oh, well, I could have spent less, you're always going to look back and be like, oh, I could have spent less. That's not the point. Like, I'm not saying, sometimes it is the point to always be spending less than, but the thing is if you could pay for it without debt, then it wasn't too much. But you have to be able to pay for it without debt. And like I said, that doesn't mean you should max it out. I'm trying to keep it within reason, but also, it's very important that your bride is happy on the wedding. So, but we're making, centerpieces and stuff like that ourselves. And, there's lots of things that we are doing, which I like. We're keeping it very small. I will be broadcasting it live though, so everybody here will be able to see it on the day, and that'll be pretty cool. But the thing is I think weddings should. I mean, I would say this: there's two levels to a wedding costing too much. One is, I think a wedding should be profitable. Like, eventually, after everybody's said and done giving you gifts and things like that, I think you should have made money on the wedding. I don't know if I'll do that. I'd be very, grateful to have that happen. But that would be probably tough. But it's possible. It's like very possible. It's definitely like if you spend though a certain level and you only have a certain amount of people there, you're probably not going to make more money on the wedding than you spent. So, and I, like I've said before, very much of the idea that we should, as a community, start basically like doing GoFundMe's for people, obviously, who are sick and need medical help. Obviously, we already do that though, but also for people's weddings. I will have a link. That doesn't mean you have to donate, but I think that it's good for people to see that model. Like whatever it is that you spend, if you have a goal of this is the down payment on the house that we're trying to get or something like that, it's like that is more than your wedding cost. That's good if you can make that. And that if your goal is to have a profitable wedding, there is too much that you can spend even without going into debt. If your goal, you won't know it though till after the wedding. If your goal is to just not have any debt, which it should be both, ideally, then like just, as long as you didn't go into any debt, it's not too much. It's just you always could spend less. And I am very much a fan of the $400 wedding. I want it. I want paper plates at our wedding. I don't think it's going to happen. But, it's why you rent and you find, cheap. Like nobody cares what the centerpieces are at the end of the day. The thing is, like I said, though, we were wedding photographers. And so Paulina especially, but me too. I mean, I care more about the pictures with people, but she wants a beautiful, wedding, and that's what women want. You can do it for cheap, but, that depends on what you want. Have you heard the rumor gold and silver are worthless as diamonds and operate on false scarcity? I know diamonds are, I don't want to say worthless because they're only worth what we pay for them if it's something that's not like that's decorative and artistic and not useful like a tool. But diamonds do have a tool use as well. I was drilling through aluminum earlier today. That you don't need a diamond tip drill bit to do that. I was using a titanium drill bit, but for steel and or sometimes I cut through glass. I have glass drill bits to cut through glass over there. They have diamonds on them, and like it's just diamond dust. That's a use, but yeah, there's so many diamonds. It's not, and you can make bigger one. You can make diamonds bigger and grow them in labs and stuff. It's not like scarcity in and of itself doesn't make something valuable. Imagine if like there was one, I don't know, like, I don't know, like just a very rare, like animal crap or something, like something that you wouldn't want. Not even just something that is useless, but like something you wouldn't want unless you're a scientist, but just because it's rare doesn't mean that it's valuable. Like it has to have, I don't know, some kind of social value involved, which is like art or personal nostalgic value, or not nostalgic value, but like sentimental value, like art. And I think social value would be like vanity. Stupid. But sentimental value, personal sentimental value, there's value in that, but it's not useful value. It takes use takes precedent over sentimentality, obviously, but or practicality takes precedent over sentimentality. Maybe we should write some of this down, but I think we will in a minute. This is what this working session is going to be about: personal finances. But like there is an objective reality to personal finances, and I'm been discovering what that is over time. But I mean, even if gold is and silver are like super common and are kept in false scarcity, like it's still not. This is what people don't understand. The scarcity doesn't matter. Like it does to some degree, but it doesn't really, because it's just the cost that you're willing to pay that matters. Like if there's only 3 diamonds left in the world, let's say there's like turquoise diamond, there's like 5 of them, and secretly there's like 50 more, but nobody is revealing it because they're in, I don't know, what's that? The De Beers, what was the diamond company? I don't know, but Tiffany or uh, Cartier or whatever, I don't know, like these diamond companies, if they have them stashed in a vault somewhere, they're creating false scarcity, and you're willing to pay $500,000 for the diamond, you're like someone who can afford that. If you were willing to pay $500,000 if there were 50 of them, and you're willing to pay $500,000 if there's 3 of them, that what you're willing to pay still sets it. The scarcity thing is to confuse our mind into making us think that there's higher value on something because it's scarce. Now, sometimes scarcity can reach a level where like there's so many more people that want it and can't get it, and that will create an increasing of value. It's not just mental. I mean, it is, but it's like different level of mentality. But if it's like diamonds, where it's like anybody can get a diamond who wants a diamond. Like they're not kept so scarce that only some people can get them. I don't think that the false scarcity is to keep us from paying more, keep us paying more. It's to, at the higher ends of the system in the wholesale side of things, keep the costs higher, because basically it forces some level of this market to be restricted by the amount that is available of a certain caliber or quality of, diamond or gold or whatever. But once it reaches us, it doesn't, like the scarcity doesn't matter. We're not being restricted because we're just buying it. Like false scarcity drives up our costs because it drives up the wholesaler's costs probably, but we're still willing to pay for it. So that's, I mean, it is this false scarcity that probably does keep the costs higher, but it's still, at the end of the day, it's because we're willing to pay for it. And it's not the scarcity that causes us to pay more consciously. It's that we're not even aware that the false scarcity is causing the wholesaler to pay more. And that is probably what is, like what translates to, I'm sure that's what translates down to the increase in cost. But even still, though, it's us that decides to pay for that diamond or, that gold or that silver or whatever. There's plenty of silver. There's no shortage of silver in the world. There's no shortage of gold. And there's no shortage of diamonds. And because of that, like, scarcity isn't impacting our the amount that we're willing to pay for it directly. It's indirect. It's directly impacting the wholesaler, which is indirectly impacting us. But if it was something that was like McLaren F1s, okay, I'm not a car guy, but I do like some cars and I know some things about them. McLaren F1 is my favorite car. Fastest car of the 20th century. Last analog like car in the world. No fancy computers or anything like that. It's just a brilliant piece of engineering. And it also will forever look sleek and modern, despite it being like 20 years old at this point, which is amazing. I mean, if you look at like a Ferrari F40, the thing, you might think it looks cool, but it still looks so dated. It's even same with even like a Ferrari F50, But if you look at like a McLaren F1, it doesn't look dated at all. There are cars that are built 3 years ago that look more dated than a McLaren F1. But my point is, they're not making McLaren F1s anymore. There's only probably a few hundred in the world. I don't even know how many McLaren F1s there are. Elon Musk crashed his, so that's one less. But Jay Leno has one. He lives like kind of around my area. I've never seen him driving it around, but I want to. I see him driving around, but in like super old cars, never his McLaren F1. But like that car is now $20 million. It was $1 million when it came out. And now it's 20 million because they just don't make them anymore. It's way more demand than supply. And that scarcity is directly impacting the cost of a McLaren F1. If diamonds, scarcity was, even fake scarcity was directly impacting us, diamonds would be 10 times more than they cost now. Like 10 times more than they cost now. Not 10 times more than they cost, theoretically at cost. But when you take everybody into the chain into account, I mean, if you did that, diamonds probably like, I don't even know. A diamond that's $2,000 probably, or $1,000 even, probably cost $40, $50, $30, something like that. But I mean, it would cost $10,000 for that diamond that would cost $1,000 now if there really wasn't enough diamonds to go around to everybody. And that's just not true. We can make more. Same thing with gold. We can't make more gold, but we have enough that it doesn't matter. And it's also not an industrial, a very useful metal industrially, because it's just not hard. It's not a hard metal. It's super soft, but it does have some uses because it doesn't corrode, and it also, it's a good heat reflector. It's used in the McLaren F1. Not to just make it more expensive either, like these gold covered steaks that are like thousands of dollars that Instagram influencers get. But like, that's like vanity. You're just chasing views and stuff, but their gold on the McLaren F1 is actually like practical, but it's, there's plenty to go around of gold. There's no direct scarcity impacting us. Female doctors and dentists seem like bimbos these days. Yeah, they are. Is it palladium? It's what palladium? It's 19. It's 19. It's what palladium? My ring? No, it's gold, but it's 14 karat gold. It's $1,000 per room in Eastern Washington now. I mean, that's crazy. That's so crazy. That's like more. When I moved to LA, I was paying like $700 for the room per month. And like, that's really cheap. I'm not spending that now. I'm spending more. But I was making under minimum wage for like 2 years, and I didn't know it. And then it was like, when I moved in, if I showed you photos from when I moved in, guys, these people had rats, pet rats, not rats that were feral, pet rats that would be allowed to run loose, and other things that were going on in this room that if I told you, like, they just left all their furniture behind, their bed, mattress, sheets. They left everything. I had to clear it all out. I like got one of those professional carpet cleaners and cleaned it all and painted the walls that they had painted weird murals while on drugs, I'm pretty sure. Like, I had the LA like squalor experience, and it was still $700 a month. It was beautiful when I left, but it was not beautiful when I moved in. I can't even tell you some of the things that were in that room when I moved in. It's just too much. And I mean that. I paid $3,000 for my green appliance and like $6 for my I break for snakes bumper sticker. Oh, for your car? And that's funny. $6 is a lot to pay for a bumper sticker, but like I said, That's like your thing. I know that. Um, I call it an appliance because it's a Prius. There you go. Paulina has like a type of Prius. There's lots of Priuses, but it's a good car. I like Prius. I have a Nissan. It's very old. It's like from 1990s. Uh, and I got it from my grandparents. And I got it like appraised. It's worth like $1,500. Probably actually, it's definitely worth less now. That was like years ago. So, and it gets me from A to B. Like you don't need like, and every car is an appliance unless it is a two-seat sports car. It is an appliance. And if it's a two-seat sports car, it's a toy. And if you get like a raised Jeep or something like that, that can be a toy too. I know that. I have Jeep friends. They're really into it. And it's cool. Like I like Ferraris and Jeeps and stuff. I get it. If it's your thing, my friend spends thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on his Jeep. He's got like a folding tent on the roof and like raised, tires, and it's very cool. A winch and lights and all kinds of stuff. But that's his thing. Like that's fine. But he does it without debt. And you know, but if you're not into that, then just get a car that you can pay for without debt. I get 39 miles per gallon. That's awesome. I envy Prius people. I don't get 39 gallons per mile or miles per gallon. Snakes and fists are two things I love the most. Yep. My wife has a Prius because she travels an hour each way. To work, she gets about 50 miles per gallon. That's pretty amazing. Your truck gets 8 to 16 gallons per mile. My car's probably halfway between that on the truck and type of driving. Yeah, it depends. Are you driving on the highway or not? Um, okay. This totally turned into a like a total just like a random session, but I do want to do a little bit of a working session here. So I want to build some models though regarding um, okay, personal finances. Okay, let's do this. Finances. The theory of everything finances. I'll do a much more organized stream on this, maybe even tomorrow, but definitely after the wedding, if not tomorrow. Probably not tomorrow, honestly. Probably no organized streams this week. Tomorrow, I do have stuff to share, but it's just going to be random, and that's fine. But no debt unless, and we're going to just speak about this in this model, not regarding the times. So I'm not even going to include a mortgage here. I'm not going to include, I mean, I'll put them off to the side. So mortgage, and specialization, schooling, or licensed career. Liar. No debt. This is objective rules. Which are basically eternal. Everything that's objective is eternal. 1. No debt. Um, No debt to anyone outside of family. The next one would be um, mm, no debt to system uh, outside um, essential medical expenses. No debt for to anyone outside family. Okay, there we go. This is like starting to get somewhere. 3. I guess you could say like you need to like make this. It should be 6, and there should be a binary triality to these rules. We'll do basically 4 rules. It'll basically be 3, then 4, then 6, and then that'll be it. So the fourth one here, it's kind of like the 4 rules of gun safety. I think I will talk about this stuff tomorrow more once I have these models built in this session. So the 4 rules of gun safety are: 1 is to keep finger off trigger until ready to fire. By the way, these are objective rules, these 4 rules of gun safety, because you have to break all 4 in order to have an accident where somebody gets hurt. If you can break 3 of them, and it can be any 3 of them, and it doesn't matter. You can break 2 of them, 1 of them, it doesn't matter. The worst that happens is you get embarrassed, or you break something, but not someone. You have to break all 4 of these rules that I'm about to list in order to have somebody get hurt, and that is obviously, not a coincidental number. It's the number of completeness. So I guess we should probably do this too. Inside, inside, outside. This is going to be cool. Separate oneness. And then we're going to do this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, and 6. And okay. Okay. Paste formatting and paste formatting. Values. Okay. Wait. 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's 4. Okay. Bingo. That's good enough. So keep finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire. That's inside. Outside is be aware of your target and what is beyond it. The next one is don't point the gun at anything you aren't willing to destroy. Which is really anyone that you're willing to kill. And then this one would be treat every gun as if it is loaded. Always. You could even do it like this. It has more impact. There you go. So these are the theory of everything of firearm safety. It really is. Now, we go to this. Inside would be inside would be no debt. I think it's this. For non-medical expenses to anyone outside family. No debt to outside would be no debt to system outside medical expenses. Separate would be oneness would be pay for everything in full outside of essential medical expenses. And then what is separate would be Don't borrow on interest. There you go. That's it. The objective theory of everything, personal finances. Some and these are redundant, some of them, because so are these. You know, treat every gun as if it is loaded. Always means keep your finger off the trigger until it's ready to fire. It means be aware of your target and what is beyond it. It means don't point the gun at anything that you're not willing to destroy. Just like oneness is separateness and encapsulates the perception of outside and inside. You need to see something, you need to be able to distinguish between outside and inside in order to have separateness. And if you can perceive yourself as separateness, then or anyone else as separate from, or anything else from anything else, then you are perceiving oneness. One car is separate from other cars. One person is separate from other people. So oneness and separateness are two sides of the same coin, and inside and outside are two sides of the same coin. So you would expect that here as well. No debt to non-medical expenses to anyone outside of family. No debt to outside family. Other than essential medical expenses. Guys, I'm about, God willing, going to start a family soon. I will maybe have to take some loans for, like, hospital bills. And I do have insurance, so hopefully that covers it. But I mean, I could pay my deductible. So I just don't know how it works. But like that would be an essential medical expense. Like something like that, or like you need some kind of drugs to keep you alive. No debt to system outside of medical expenses. To government or corporate. I guess you could say private. Corporate. To government or corporate system outside essential medical expenses. Other. Okay, there we go. I guess you would say this one would be actually um, Be aware of your target and what's beyond it. Keep your finger off the trigger. Okay, so I'm trying to do as many positive things as possible. So only incur, I guess you could say, um, be indebted to family. Oh, okay, actually, this would be don't take debt don't take loans from don't take loans outside of family. No debt until, okay, so this one would be different. This one is only go into debt to government or corporate. Um, only go into extra no, only go into debt that charges interest. Should be only go into debt that charges interest outside for essential medical expenses, or should it be only go into debt outside of family um, for essential medical expenses? Because only go into debt that charges. I guess this would be outside, so only go into outside debt or debt outside family. That charges interest outside family, or that charges interest um, for essential medical expenses. And then we can get rid of it everywhere else here. Get rid of the exception because it's built into the system. Essential medical expenses are the only exception. Are the only exception. There. Okay. So now you have don't and do, and don't and do. That's what I wanted, essentially. Like I was looking for two sides of every coin. Don't take a loan that charges interest. Pay for everything in full. Um, don't take loans outside your family. So actually, maybe it's like that. Okay. Then it's do and do and don't and don't. Don't take a loan outside of family. Don't take a loan that charges interest. This one, the order matters because it helps you understand them. There. Don't take a loan that charges interest. Don't take a loan outside of family. Loans outside of family. Then loans outside of family and or that charge interest are only for essential medical expenses. And then oneness is pay for everything in full. So essentially, you can isolate these two, just like you can isolate inside and outside. You can say, if you don't take any loan that charges interest and you don't take any loans outside of family, then you'll be all right. Basically, if you don't take any, if you only take loans that charge interest or that are outside of family for essential medical expenses, and you otherwise pay for everything in full, then you'll be all right. So separate oneness and inside and outside. I think that's it right there. My Prius is 2006 and I paid $3K for it with a brand new battery. There you go. Exactly. That you can buy a $3,000 car without any like debt. Okay. So then separate is going to be here. And one inside is here. Outside is here. And then inside of inside would be like avoid interest, I guess. No, because inside we're looking for oneness, pay for everything in full. So this would be don't take loans outside family and or loans that charge interest. This would be other than or essential medical expenses. Okay, so now we're going to get 3 don'ts, and then we're going to get 3 do's. Okay, so the do's would be pay for everything in full. The next one would be oneness within, inside of outside. So inside is here, outside is here. Inside of outside would be don't take a loan that charges interest. Don't take loans outside of family that charges interest. Only take interest-free loans from family. Don't take a loan outside of family. So basically, you would probably want this one here. Because what's in between these two? Don't take a loan that charges interest. Don't take loans outside of family. Only take. I guess you would do this. And then here you would do don't take loans outside of family. Don't take loans for non-essential. Or don't take loans for non-essential expenses. Then this would be, so don't. Now you need do pay for everything in full. Don't take loans. Do only take interest-free loans. And this would be only take loans from family. Only take interest-free loans. There we go. Boom. Primary. Fundamental. By the way, I was a finance major, so this is like the first time that I'm actually like doing this. Not the first time, but it's the most I've focused on finances. in this so far. I think that's pretty much it. Inside. And outside. Don't take this. Oh wow, this was really, I really like nailed those two. I didn't even try. That's exactly what should happen. Okay, it's like I wasn't trying to, I mean I should have been trying. And at first I was trying to make these line up, but then I started moving all these around. And I wasn't trying anymore to make them line up with this, and I was kind of forgot that they should line up with this, and I was just making them relate to each other properly. And it seems they line up with this, so that's exactly what you would want. Wow, that is the weirdest and percent sign I've ever seen. There we go. Dang. Like when people are like, oh, you gotta get a credit card, build up your credit. Just build up that credit. Like, I understand gaming the system, and if you're gonna do that, like, pay it off. Like, I mean this like immediately. Like for the sake of gaming the system, like the day of, not even just like, you know, I don't know if that even will game the system, but not, you don't like wait till the end of the month to pay to game the system. If you think that you're gonna do that, you're gonna be a victim of the system. You're falling into the system. You're not gaming the system. You're literally just falling into the system. Like you think you're gaming the system, and you're like, well, I only use my credit card to build up my credit. It's like, you know who says that? Everyone. That's who says that. Um, yeah, we don't need to deal with these, but basically, if you follow all these, then you'll be all right. So, like, if it's anything like this, then you should be able to break three of them and be okay. So let's say you break these three. Don't take a loan. Let's say you take a loan that charges interest. You take a loan outside of family. Nope, that doesn't work. That's because it's this really like, it may be well, like that. So don't take a loan that charges interest. It's still weird. I don't know. I mean, it's close. If it's not that, if it's not it, then it's close. But yeah, this should be like this. And if it was like this, then it would be like oneness, uh, inside, outside separateness, or something like that. It wouldn't be, you'd be alternating instead of just inside, outside, two sides of one coin, separate oneness, two sides of one coin. So this is two sides of one coin. This is two sides of one coin. And that's what you're kind of like looking for. Dang, I gotta tell Paulina about this. We gotta follow it. See, if I started a class like not Gordon Ramsay, what's that guy, Dave Ramsey? Then I could pay for a house in full. Maybe, we'll see. But I think that this is good. What do you guys think? Comment in the comments what you think of it, or in the chat. Like, what do you think of these rules? These. I guess. I don't know if you can see the very bottoms. So, there. Don't take a loan that charges interest. Don't take loans outside of family. Only take loans outside of family or that charge interest for essential medical expenses. Pay for everything in full. The primary financial rules. Then the fundamental financial rules would be pay for everything in full, don't take loans for non-essential expenses, only take interest-free loans, don't take a loan that charges interest, only take loans from family, don't take loans outside of family. So they're basically like the same thing. You could say don't take loans from the government or corporations. You could say don't take a loan that charges interest. Only take interest-free loans. So basically this would be what is it called when it is just something that charges interest. Loans. Let's just see what it says here. It's not like changing my camera. By the way, I do have that cable coming tomorrow, so that I don't have to do this to you guys anymore. I ordered the wrong kind, but it's coming. The right one is coming tomorrow. Okay, loan interest types. Loan types. What are the 4 types of loans? Wow, there's 4 types of loans. Personal loans. That's more. Credit card loans. Home loans. This is way more than 4. 4 loans. Personal loans, home loans, student loans, and then auto loans. No. It would be personal loans. Student loans, medical loans, and probably like, I don't know. The 4 C's of lending. Credit, capacity, collateral, capital. Okay, so there you go. So there is 4 C's of mortgage qualification. Credit, capacity, collateral, capital. I don't know what that is. Credit, capacity, collateral, and capital. Or C's of lending. Capacity refers to a borrower's ability to pay back his or her loan. Let's see here. Credit. Maybe say character. Okay. This is capacity. Credit is quantization of trustworthiness. Essentially, it's really what it is. Collateral is assets that a lender can take possession of if borrower defaults. And capital is okay, this is character, collateral, credit score, capacity. Okay, this is different. What is capital? Is a record. Record of trustworthiness. And then this would be capital is okay, so it's 5 C's. Let's look at this. Capacity. Character. Applicants. Capital. The amount of money that the person has. And then it's collateral. An asset. Fifth C is conditions. See, yeah, it's like, okay, this is now a different system. This is why we need something like objective. Okay. And prevailing interest rates. Okay, that makes sense. And then here. And Come on. Okay. So capital is that. So what is missing here? Credit, capacity, collateral, capital, character. Credit, capacity, collateral, character. Conditions. There was one more that we were missing. Six C's. Oh, credit score. Character, capacity, capital, collateral, conditions, and credit score. Oh, okay. There we go. That's it. Here's these four. Here's these six. Interesting. Hey, at least this year I can easily afford a vacation to Texas. That's good. Maybe later this year I can do some herping with Tyler in SoCal or Western Arizona. Dude, if you know where I can find night lizards, let me know and we will do some herping. Herping is looking for reptiles, by the way. I would like to get some night lizards. I know people that breed them, but they're very expensive and they're not commonly bred. I'd rather just get some on my own. Uh, it would be awesome to catch some desert night. Oh yeah, desert night lizards and shovel nose snakes. Yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly what I want to find. Let me know if you want to come to SoCal and we can meet up and go herping. I'm definitely down. Maybe this fall. That's like in Arizona, at least the fall is a good time to go. I don't know about California. I still haven't figured it out. Like in Arizona, it will be so hot and you'll put your foot on the ground and it will literally cook if you leave it there. In California, it'll be the same level of heat and it'll feel just as hot. You'll put your foot on the ground and your foot is fine. And that changes all of the activity of the animals that, crawl on the ground. So I have not, and I've noticed that and I don't understand their habits. But if you do, let me know because I'm down. Okay. Sick. Um, uh, lending. By the way, I'm not saying like you should lend money or anything like that just because I'm documenting these, but I'm just showing the pattern is still there. It should be the four primary. The, the amount that I've learned about finance just tonight compared to the amount that I knew prior to this, given especially considering the fact that I was a finance major, is amazing. Because prior to tonight, uh, you know, all I have learned about from finance school, I guess, is literally like how to do arbitrage, which means how to make money uh, out of nothing, essentially. Like it's like how do you uh, fake the value of money long enough to translate it into real value. That's really what it really is. And even then, that's not even what people do. Like what people do is they're like, oh, I'll change this to from dollars to you know Swiss francs to yen and then back to dollars and the reality though is that if until you translate it into like an experience or a physical good that has use or even sentimental value, but especially use, it's still useless. It's like if it's sitting in your bank account, it's useless. You're not, it doesn't increase your wealth to have money in the bank. It increases your wealth when you translate that money into real wealth. But it's like money is okay, wow, here we go. Energy. You have potential energy. I'm definitely gonna have to do a better scream on this. And then you have kinetic energy. And potential energy is money. Uh, or like um, money or other value substitutes. This would be currency. And then kinetic energy, um, you could say currency, hold currency. Or kinetic energy is tools, experiences, um, and sentimental. Um, items. etc. Money, crypto, uh, precious metals, and gems. etc. Okay, so this is potential energy. And this is kinetic energy. Valuable things. So obviously people are the most valuable. So this is but yeah, I mean then you would have, even though with money you'll do like this, you got like fiat money. Let's just do this is currency. Currency. And then you have fiat, you have oh gosh, commodity. And so this is sentimentality. Fiat or practicality. What is commodity money? Types of currency. Refuge and commodity. Commodity. Commodity money, fiat. Fiduciary money. What is fiduciary money? Is the simplest and most likely the oldest type of money. It builds on scarce natural resources that act as a medium of exchange, store value. Commodity money is closely related. It originates from barter system, so where goods and services are directly exchanged for other goods and services. So basically, you have good service. Then you have so fiduciary money would be like crypto. Commercial money. Okay, so good and service. Then you would have commodity and fiat, which is violence backed by violence. Backed by intrinsic. Backed by demand. That's what it is. Backed by demand. Then you should have probably, it's probably it. Other than you have debt and you have credit. Really, that's basically like fiduciary money, fiat, and commodity. Commodity, fiat, and fiduciary. Fiduciary would be like crypto, I think, right now. This is not the 6 types of money. See, this is what I mean. Like, this is nonsense. Metallic money, paper money, bank money, legal money, plastic money, near money, metallic money again. Like, what is that? That's nonsense. It's like the type, like, that's not objective. Objective is about conscious beings interacting. So you have goods and you have services. You have commodity, which is backed by demand, and you have fiat, which is backed by violence. You have credit, which, is basically, I mean, it could be backed by demand or violence. And you have debt, which is, what are owed. Currency owed. This would be I don't think crypto is any different than when it actually becomes a currency. There will be different types of cryptos. There will be fiat crypto backed by violence and commodity crypto, which will be backed by demand, probably. But debt, currency owed, credit, currency others owe. OU. And credit would be currency I guess, I mean, it's currency you owe others. I know that, but like I'm trying to spin it. Uh, others owe you currency. You owe others. And there you go. You know, I've said this before, and I was speaking to a herpetologist friend of mine today about like how like he has studied so many species. A biologist friend of mine. He's not even just a herpetologist. I mean, he studied birds and everything, and he knows more about how wildlife lives, about how animals live, than pretty much anyone else that I've ever seen. And he has photos that he has taken of interactions and behaviors from a multitude of species, elegant trogons and desert iguanas and Gila monsters and rattlesnakes that just are. His work alone eclipses the collective body of work of everyone else in the world on any species that he focuses on, any of them. It doesn't matter. Like, it blows my mind. And he has the proof because he has these photos that he takes with the this Nikon super zoom that just lets you take photos of any wildlife. If you want a wildlife camera, get a Nikon super zoom, and you can photograph behaviors you would and see behaviors you would never see in anything else. But he was talking about how, I mean, there are pictures of different species even interacting, and on a daily basis, every day, these two individuals of these two different species live next to each other and sit together, sit on top of each other even sometimes. And it's just the assumption is that reptiles and birds and lots of other species other than mammals and birds, really, I guess you could say, and fish, are so they'd say those are social, but most reptiles are antisocial or non, solitary, they'd say. Many other species, well, that's just nonsense. There isn't a species on Earth that is solitary, not one. And he has so much, photographic evidence of this that is the same individuals every day for years. And um, but it won't be accepted. I was like, you need to publish this stuff before, you know, like it just gets lost. And he was like, yeah, but the issue is that they won't accept it because it goes against the norm. Uh, and it's so far beyond anything that biologists are doing. So they don't want to take it because of, it basically means that their work isn't as valuable as they thought, which that doesn't mean they aren't as valuable as they thought. It means their work on the specific subject isn't as valuable as they thought, or they didn't know as much on a specific subject. And I was telling him about how my issues with the theory of everything is that this applies to everything. You can jump from field to field to field to field and just make enormous progress so fast. And, you look at people in economics and, um, and I know, professors of economics that were my favorite professors. And, like I said, I was a finance major. So I know what the academic fields are regarding these systems. And I would say they're extremely ignorant. And it's becoming increasingly clear as I learn more about politics that that's the case. And it's crazy how quickly you can make progress if you know this theory, the theory of everything, on economics. And I don't need to go look up like classes on economics. Like, you just don't. I'm sure Eric Weinstein's like gauge theory economics and stuff like that would apply to this, and eventually I will take a look at that. I haven't yet. But his wife, Pia Milani, is is an economist, and they together published Gauge Theory of Economics. Let's just look it up. Pia Milani Economics. Weinstein. Does culture affect economic outcomes? Let's not look at that. Let's look at what is economics.
Say to them is try not to think about economics as the study of money, because that's really the most limited and probably incorrect way of thinking about it. It's really the study of incentives.
Exactly.
And when you think about, the two concepts that I mentioned earlier, I think really drive my understanding of the field, the concept of opportunity cost and the concept of thinking in marginal terms. So once you understand diminishing marginal utility, for example, how every additional unit of a good that you consume, it means just that much less to you. So, these are very simple concepts,
That's
but
exactly what I was talking about regarding diamonds and gold and stuff, is like scarcity doesn't actually matter to the cost directly. It's indirect because there's enough for everyone. So but I'm talking about it in the reverse of what she's saying, because each good that is detracted or retracted from the market due to, the increasing of scarcity of these items is still, you know, it doesn't matter very much. Um, it goes up over time. The more that you take out of the market, the more valuable they will get eventually, and you will reach a certain point where all of a sudden you go from indirect to direct impact, especially if it's a useful good. But that that level is, can you satisfy everyone's desires for the good? The second one would be, can you satisfy everyone's um, uh, need for the good, which are different. So, can you satisfy their desires for the good in the market? Can you satisfy everyone? And can you satisfy the need for the good of everyone in the market? And once you cross that threshold and you can't do that anymore, all of a sudden scarcity makes a direct impact on the value of the good, and it's now going to be and must be too expensive for everyone to get, um, or too expensive for just anyone to get. Not everybody will be able to afford it. It's like McLaren F1s. It's like you can't afford that. Not everybody can afford that. And that you could say, well, not everybody could afford that before either, but the difference between, if they had never stopped making McLaren F1s and there was enough McLaren F1s to satisfy the market, like there is like Honda Civics, and they just continued to make McLaren F1s, like there would, just like they continued to make Honda Civics, there would, obviously it's a very different Honda Civic. I had a Honda Civic as my first car. It's nothing like the Honda Civic of today, but you would be able to satisfy everybody's need, at least. And but everyone's satisfying everybody's desire would be, based on model and year and stuff like that. So that it doesn't. What satisfying not being able to satisfy everyone's desire is going to lead to certain models, I guess you could say, or certain types being extremely expensive, like Pokemon cards. It's like there's enough Pokemon cards for everybody in the world, but some Pokemon cards are like make the news when, you know, Logan Paul buys one or something. But there is no scarcity of Pokemon cards. There's just a scarcity of some kinds. And we can satisfy everybody's desire for, you know, Pokemon cards in general. Like there isn't, you know, a certain number of Pokemon cards, and only those people can have Pokemon cards. But there's a certain number of types of a certain type of Pokemon card, and that's true. But Pokemon cards in general, it's anybody's game. And I mean, I don't really, I think they still make them. I don't really know. I haven't bought Pokemon cards since I was like 10 or something. I don't even know. Probably less. But I was like the first gen. Whatever came after that, I have no idea. But but those are intrinsically not a necessary good. So it's only going to be based on people's desires. But if you're going to say like steel or even diamonds, let's say diamonds weren't common or you couldn't make them. And yes, there is this value of diamonds that is sentimental. But then there's also this practical value of diamonds. The practical value of diamonds is, you know, I have diamond tipped drill bits over there for drilling into glass. That is an essential, like, diamond product, diamond good. Then I also have a diamond ring that I showed you earlier in the stream that, you know, I bought as my fiance's engagement ring. That is a sentimental diamond good. But as soon as you can't fulfill even enough for the practical for everyone, then you're totally like in another level of scarcity where you're not just having scarcity, you're having panic. This is like when there wasn't enough toilet paper over lockdown and everybody was freaking out. It's like, listen, you have a bathtub, you can deal, but it's not ideal. And but people see it as a necessity. And it was actually not what I saw as a necessity during lockdown. I was like, I mean, I had water stash, so we were good on that. It's like, we need food, dog food, safety. That's pretty much it. But a lot of people were like freaking out over toilet paper, and they see it as a necessary good, it's not considered like it's a sentimental good, toilet paper. It's not a sentimental good. It's also, you know, it's treated as a necessary good in the market, even though if you have access to a tub, you'll be all right if you have to. So if a practical good that's necessary achieves scarcity, which means there isn't enough to go around, or there isn't enough to where the amount that is in the market is able to be distributed. So even if there's like, you know, I don't know, let's say you need a car for every person on Earth, 6 billion people on Earth, say there's 6 billion cars, but not everybody could get one of those cars because of distribution and things like that. It's not about just whether or not there's enough cars in the world. It's about, are there enough cars to get to the people? Because like she said, it's about incentives. And it's not about money. And it's not even about goods. It's about incentives and necessities, like in desires. That's really what it's about. And economics. The incentives of necessities and desires. Wow, that's pretty good. Economics. Economics is the incentives regarding necessities and desires. Guys, we're going to talk about marriage after this and how marriage equates to economics too, because not only is a marriage unit a a profitable economic arrangement outside of legalities. Legalities are artificial, but natural incentives of marriage is a profitable endeavor to be married, because you can share a fridge, share a place to live, share a bed, share all kinds of goods that you otherwise outside of a marriage could not share. So and yeah, people will be like, well, what about roommates? No. Like, marriage is where you've committed to sharing for life, not just like, we have this contractual agreement that's meant to be temporary and also not meant to extend into the most dire and impactful instances of life. It's just like the purely most basic, like every day, not the most dire, which you need an arrangement that satisfies both of those levels of necessity. So, but outside of legalities, marriage is a profitable structure. Also, it is essential because what we need more than anything is to feel meaning, and meaning is your impact on another sentient being. And so if you have no other sentient beings in your life that you view as a meaningful relationship, meaning like permanent relationship, like that's what meaning is it's like permanent impact. Like good true meaning is like eternal impact, permanent impact. So I guess permanent is a good way to put it, and marriage is about permanent impact. So that's why people search for love. They're not searching for love, they're searching for family. Like, it's not love. I mean, family is love, but like the way that we use the term love is basically to mean infatuation, and that's not what people need. They need family. They need belonging. They need meaning. They need help, and love as an action that is a permanent commitment to help another person. Like, that is love, and that's the love that people actually search for. But they search for it while looking for, infatuation and sex, and that's not actually permanent, or it's intrinsically, and it's not meaningful because of that. And so it's not love. See, here's the thing about a temporary relationship, like a business transaction. This is like when when companies too will tell you this. Do not ever believe them when companies are like, and every company says it. Every single one I've ever worked for has always said it. Every single one, from Walgreens to PragerU to my current employer to my future employers, if I ever have a future employer. Hopefully not. I like where I work, and then eventually, years and years from now, starting my own thing would be pretty ideal. But every company will tell you, we're family here. No, they're not. There might be family within that company, but you are not part of it if you were hired. If you were hired and you didn't know them already, and you weren't family already, like literally family, then you're not family. They're lying to you. They're lying to themselves too, probably. But because people's work environments have replaced their family lives, because you spend most of your time that you're awake. at your work if you don't work from home, which I highly recommend if you can. Uh, and if you can, not everybody can, but if your job is not physical labor in a certain spot, try and work from home. But they're not family, so that's why it doesn't. People aren't feeling fulfilled in meaning, and are having a lack of meaning, even though you've got the job in Silicon Valley, or you've got the job with the studios or whatever it is that you really sought to have. It's not a family, and so it won't give you meaning. And even beyond that, the most meaningful relationship of family is your spouse. And so when people don't have spouses, okay, permanent relationships with marital relationships with the opposite sex, you will feel like you're lacking of some meaning in your life, more so than anything else. You could be like jobless. If you had to choose between not having the career that you wanted and having a career where it didn't give you any meaning, any feeling of fulfillment, I guess, versus and having a good marriage, versus not being married and having the career, your dream career, it doesn't matter what you choose. I would argue that the good marriage would always give you more fulfillment. Even if you would consciously choose the other one, I would say you unconsciously always would feel more fulfillment from the marriage, because you will view it as an impact on another being that you'll see as another being, versus if you're in a company and you're like, I'm trying to impact the world. It's like you don't see the world as individual people, as beings. Even if you're like, yeah, these are families and people and individuals and men and women and children that I've helped. It's like you don't know them, and you don't know their lives intimately enough to view them as really as individuals, and especially if you're a man. And so it doesn't end up providing the same meaning. It can provide fulfillment of you being useful, but even then, not to the same degree that you can find in a marriage. And this is the problem when people don't get married. People say, well, there's a lack of meaning. People feel like they have a lack of meaning, like there is a scarcity of meaning. Scarcity of meaning is, first of all, false. There's always meaning. You're always meaningful because you were made, otherwise you wouldn't be meaningful. You wouldn't be meaningful if you wouldn't be made if you weren't meaningful. You were made by a conscious being. Consciously. Okay? So if that's the case, then you have intrinsic meaning. But if you don't believe that, then it's going to be harder for you to find intrinsic meaning, because now you have to go find it. Versus it's always there. Even if you forget in the moment, you could always, resort back to the reality of, okay, actually I was chosen to be here, have meaning, but I need to go and, fulfill something else in my life that might be missing. But if you don't believe you have intrinsic meaning, then you have to go make your meaning, and that is difficult to do and narrow down because to target, because basically if you don't believe that you were made by a conscious being, then you don't realize that meaning can only come from your impact on another, on another sentient being, or from a sentient being's impact on you. So because you view fundamental reality as not a sentient being, so meaning can't come necessarily only from sentient beings. But fundamental reality is a sentient being, and it therefore only comes from impact on sentient beings, or by sentient beings, essentially. So you'll chase money instead of helping a spouse and committing to them or something like that. And nobody on their deathbed is like, thank God I had so much money. Like, it was like, you could be like thank God I've lived a life where, I didn't have monetary worries, but like nobody's like, thank God I was able to, top 10 most important things in my life. Thank God I was able to afford a Ferrari. No. Even if you love Ferraris and you're a Ferrari guy, no. Like, you'd be like, you wouldn't even say thank God. Because thank God I was able to experience what I want, certain desires that I've had about, I don't know, keeping certain animals or racing Ferraris or whatever it is that you want to do that is just intrinsic to you or individual to you. Like that is still an impact on you by another sentient being. And that is meaningful because it means that someone put in energy so that you can have that experience, and that makes it meaningful. If it's just blind luck that you got to race Ferraris and own Ferraris, and that you like Ferraris in your life, that is not meaningful. It's just brings you temporary happiness, but not, it doesn't give you feelings of being meaningful or having, being meaningful to others. Or I guess being meaningful to others, whether that means because they invested energy in you or because you invested energy in them. So like, this is why we need to start realizing marriage is so freaking important. It's not just important, it's essential. If you are attracted to the opposite sex, it is a responsibility for you to get married. And if you don't see that, then I believe that you'll probably search and you don't get married because you don't think that it's a responsibility, even though you are attracted to the opposite sex. If you're not attracted to the opposite sex, you have a different role, but still to impact others. But if you are attracted to the opposite sex, it is a responsibility to get married, because if you don't, people are going to have the issue that we have today, where there's abundant single women everywhere, and yet all men are having trouble getting like good women, even though that any woman can be a good woman. Like, and everybody is bad and good, does bad and good things, but like anyone can get better. That's what I'll say. So especially women, like women can turn their lives around. It's easier to help for a woman to turn her life around in a relationship that's positive than it is for a man. But because a man has to choose himself to turn his life around, whereas a woman in a good relationship will usually have her life turned around. But because they're the neutral force, so they take on the charge of that which is around them. If it's a positive force, they take on that positive charge. If it's a negative charge, they'll take on a negative charge. But a man has to choose a positive charge, essentially. Choose growth in meaning. That's what that means, growth of meaning. So, the purpose of the universe is to maximize meaning and to create an abundance of it so that people, it isn't scarce. To create a growth of meaning, not to, try and seize on a scarcity of meaning. It's just to grow it. There is no scarcity of meaning at all. And we have this perception that that's the case. But the thing is that if you choose to avoid responsibility, then you will choose unconsciously to avoid meaning, because meaning comes from your impact on another, which means taking responsibility for doing, good for someone else, and committing to doing good for someone else. And this is the economics of meaning. Like, it's just a growth. It isn't, there's no such thing as scarcity. Like, there is no such thing as scarcity. Scarcity is a subjective perspective. But when it comes to meaning, um, and and like, which is really the most essential thing, there is no such thing as scarcity. Even now, when people are like in a post-scarcity society, it's like, what does that even mean? I don't know anybody in the United States that goes hungry. That, I don't mean goes hungry, but dies of hunger, other than if they have like, cognitive problem, uh, or a situational problem that's very specific that makes it so that they aren't capable of going and even digging through a trash can. Like there's nobody who starves to death really in the United States. If that's true, there's no scarcity of objects that are necessities. There's just, what we still do have though is we have a scarcity of meaning, and it is contributing to the instability of society. So I guess probably maybe tomorrow, as my last stream before getting married, I will do the economics of meaning, and then um, afterwards I'll come back and do the meaning of marriage. That'll be legit, actually. I just planned the next 2 streams. I'm writing this down. Stream tomorrow is going to be called The Economics of Meaning. And the next one is going to be called The Meaning of Marriage. After I get married. And then next 2 episodes. They'll be much more produced than this one, probably. But the economics of meaning will be like more produced than today, but because we did the work today. But it won't be the same as the meaning of marriage. Probably have Paulina join me for that one. My next stream, I'll have Paulina on here, and we'll talk about marriage. Link to marriage fund support. I will make a link, Chris. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I will post it everywhere. Maybe tomorrow, or I don't know. Like, definitely before the wedding, like the day before the wedding, at the absolute like maximum. Hit the like button if you haven't hit the like button before, by the way. I have noticed something very interesting. If we see a photo that we like, we automatically like it. It's like natural to hit the like button. If we watch a video that we like, it's not automatic to hit the like button. And I think that's due to just the lack of momentary, like the staticness of the video is different than a like image. But I like images unconsciously, and I never like videos unconsciously. It's always a conscious choice to support a creator that I like. So please hit the like button if you haven't yet, and comment down below, share this, clip it up, send timestamps to Theory of Everyone Clips or Phantom on our Discord, and message me privately on Instagram if you want the Discord link. This Thursday at 7 p.m. I will be in the Discord for a call again, a live call. It will be the last live call until after my wedding, which just basically means I'm skipping a week, but then I'll be back. Next week I'll be gone. Same thing with streams on here. Next week I'll be gone, and I know we missed the Clubhouse discussion yesterday because of the holiday, which is fine. I figured that. So, but those will be back to when we come back on Monday. So I will either do a Clubhouse discussion or I will do an um, Instagram live. I haven't figured out yet how I'm going to handle that. But I stream so much, whether that's a call on Discord or here, that it's just, I want to do Instagram and Clubhouse, but I got to figure out a way to alternate or maybe figure out a way to do like Instagram on Sunday, Clubhouse on Monday or something like that. But we'll see. Anyways, thank you guys for being here. I hope you find this work meaningful. Like I said, starting the week after next, this is going to get way more controversial, even though it shouldn't be controversial as we discuss morals, because that is going to be the main focus of one of the main focuses of this work. And even though we will talk about physics too, but the math, and we'll relate morals to physics. Morals aren't separate from physics. They're not separate from mathematics. They're not separate from physics. They're not separate from politics. Nothing. So it's all, there's only one pattern. So we'll relate it all, but I do see a lack of, application to morals of the theory of everything. I definitely, the furthest I've seen it go is economics. The next step up after that is politics, and I guess you could even say actually, politics and then economics and then politics, or politics and economics. It doesn't matter. But I've seen it go to economics with Eric Weinstein and Pia Malani's gauge theory and such, but I've never yet seen it go to morals outside of, scripture. But we're going to talk about the physics of morals starting in 2 weeks. But like I said, Paulina will be on here next Tuesday to talk to everyone. I'm going to say yes, but obviously her choice matters in it a little bit. But she knows that I wanted to have her own stream. That's probably the best one. And then, like I said, I'll be back tomorrow, 7:30 here on the economics of meaning. And like I said, subscribe to my email list on sentientsingularity.com. There's also a link to a Patreon below. We only have a couple Patreon supporters right now. I'm very grateful for both of them. And, you know who you are. So message me if you want to join our Discord. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe, follow Theory of Everyone clips,